Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1, we are talking about a modern United States quarter that surprised many collectors and quickly became a favorite, the 2022 Wilma Mankiller $quarter. At first glance, it looks like ordinary pocket change, but this coin carries deep history, strong symbolism, and hidden collector value that many people still overlook. This quarter honors Wilma Mankiller, a powerful leader and the first woman to serve as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Her image on U.S. coinage represents strength, leadership, and progress, making this quarter emotionally important and historically meaningful. Coin lovers appreciate not just metal, but stories, and this coin tells a strong one. Most Wilma Mankiller quarters were struck for everyday circulation, meaning millions were made. Because of that, many people assume the coin is common and worthless. But collectors know better. Value does not always come from age, it comes from condition, rarity, and mistakes made during minting. High-grade examples of this coin are where the real excitement begins. Quarters that were never used, never scratched, and preserved in nearly perfect condition are highly desirable. When professionally graded and certified, these coins can jump dramatically in value, even though they are only a few years old. Then there are mint errors, and this is where collectors listen very carefully. Some Wilma Mankiller quarters were struck with off-center designs, die cracks, weak strikes, or doubling in the lettering and details. These errors happen accidentally and cannot be repeated, making each error coin unique. The more dramatic and clear the error, the more collectors are willing to pay. Another exciting version is the proof coin, specially made for collectors with mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. Proof coins are not meant for circulation, and when kept in perfect condition, they attract strong interest from serious collectors who want the best examples available. This is why coin lovers are now carefully checking their change, looking closely at the details of this quarter, and even sending coins for professional grading. A single difference in condition or a tiny mint error can turn an ordinary quarter into a valuable collectible. Now let's talk about real market value. Based on what collectors actually paid, a circulated Wilma Mankiller quarter is generally worth face value, around 25 cents. Uncirculated examples can sell for a few dollars to several tens of dollars, depending on condition. Proof versions often trade for $20 to $50. High-grade certified coins and rare mint error examples have reached hundreds to several thousands of dollars at auction. So next time you see this quarter, don't ignore it. Look closer. Because sometimes, history, rarity, and value are hiding right in your pocket. Top 2. We are diving into a true classic of American coinage, a piece of history that every coin lover should know about, the 1974 United States $quarter. This coin has been in wallets and coin rolls for generations, but did you know that some of these quarters are worth way more than their face value? Listen closely, because if you love coins, you will enjoy this journey through history, rarity, and value. The 1974 quarter features the familiar design of George Washington on the front, looking forward with timeless dignity. On the back, the eagle spreads its wings, a symbol of strength and freedom. Most of these quarters were made for everyday transactions, and they passed from pocket to pocket across the country. But collectors see more than just metal and ink, they see stories, history, and sometimes treasure. What makes the 1974 quarter truly fascinating is not how many were made, but how some escaped the ordinary and became sought after among collectors. Millions and millions were minted in 1974, so most coins you find in change today are common. However, there are certain versions and conditions that make a big difference. First, the mint mark. Many coins were struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark, while others came from Denver with a small d under the date. Collectors pay special attention to these marks because they can influence value. Even more intriguing are the very limited number of proof coins made specifically for collectors with mirror-like surfaces and sharper details. These proofs were never meant for daily use, so if one survives in perfect condition, it can be quite valuable. Then there are the errors, and this is where things get exciting. Mistakes happen at the mint, and sometimes those mistakes create something unusual. Imagine a coin that was struck off-center, or one where the design doubled slightly because the die shifted during striking. These imperfections are not flaws to collectors, they are treasures. Error coins are unique moments in minting history, and collectors chase them with passion. Some 1974 quarters show die cracks, tiny raised lines where the metal cracked in the die before striking. Others might display weak strikes, where parts of the design are faint or missing because the press didn't fully hit the coin. These errors are not common, and when found in high grade, they can attract serious interest at auctions and private sales, but rarity is not the only factor. Condition plays a huge role in how much a coin is worth. A coin that has been in circulation for decades will show scratches, wear, and smooth areas where the design has faded. But a coin that has been protected in an album or a collector's box, with crisp details and lustrous metal, tells a different story. Those high-grade pieces are the ones collectors dream about. Now let's talk about real market value. A typical circulated 1974 quarter, the kind you might find in your change jar, is generally worth about its face value, 25 cents, or slightly more to a collector who wants everyday examples. Uncirculated coins with strong details and attractive surfaces can sell for several dollars, reflecting the demand from beginner and intermediate collectors. Proof versions in pristine condition often trade for more, and coins with dramatic mint errors or especially high professional grades have been known to reach hundreds to several thousands of dollars at auction. Top 3. We are stepping back into a powerful moment in American coin history to explore the 1967 United States quarter dollar. This coin may look familiar, but it was born during a time of major change, economic pressure, and metal shortages. For collectors, that makes this quarter far more interesting than most people realize. The 1967 quarter features the classic portrait of George Washington on the front and the proud eagle on the back. At first glance, it appears like many other Washington quarters, but there is something unusual right away: there is no mint mark. This wasn't a mistake. During the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks to discourage coin hoarding. That single decision created a unique era of coinage that collectors still study today. Another important detail is the metal. The 1967 quarter is made from a copper-nickel clad composition, not silver. This marked a clear break from earlier quarters and makes this coin a symbol of transition in American money. While it doesn't contain silver, its historical importance keeps collector interest strong. What truly excites coin lovers are the rare varieties and mint errors. Some 1967 quarters were struck with doubling in the lettering or date, known as double die errors. These coins show noticeable doubling that can be seen with magnification, and collectors pay close attention to how strong and clear the doubling appears. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly aligned, leaving part of the coin blank. These errors happened when the planchet shifted during striking, and the more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the coin can become. Other errors include die cracks, where raised lines appear across the surface, and clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error at the mint. Condition plays a massive role in value. Most 1967 quarters were heavily circulated, meaning high-grade examples are much harder to find than people expect. Coins that still show sharp hair details on Washington, strong eagle feathers, and original mint luster are highly desirable. When such coins are professionally graded and certified, they often command strong attention from serious collectors. This is why experienced coin hunters carefully examine rolls, old collections, and estate finds. The 1967 quarter may not look flashy, but hidden within this date are coins that stand out because of condition, rarity, and unusual minting mistakes. To collectors, these differences turn an ordinary coin into a conversation piece and sometimes a valuable prize. Now let's talk about real market value and auction results. A worn and circulated 1967 quarter is usually worth about face value, roughly 25 cents. Uncirculated examples can sell for several dollars, depending on eye appeal and grade. High-grade certified coins have brought tens to over $100. Proof-like examples and well-documented mint error coins have reached hundreds to several thousands of dollars at auction. Top 4. We take a close look at a modern classic that many people overlook, the 1991 United States quarter dollar. This coin may seem ordinary at first, but for collectors, it holds surprising depth, hidden varieties, and the potential for real value when the right details come together. If you love coins, listen carefully, because this is one quarter that deserves your attention. The 1991 quarter belongs to the long-running Washington Quarter series, featuring George Washington's portrait on the front and the heraldic eagle on the back. By the early 1990s, this design had already become a symbol of everyday American life. These quarters were struck for circulation during a time when cash was still king, meaning they were heavily used and rarely saved in perfect condition. Most 1991 quarters were minted in large numbers, but collectors know that quantity does not eliminate value. What matters most is how a coin survived. Many of these quarters spent decades in circulation, collecting scratches, worn edges, and faded details. That makes high-grade examples far scarcer than most people expect. Mint marks play an important role in collector interest. Coins from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while Denver issues display a small d. There were also proof versions struck with extra care for collectors, featuring sharp details and reflective surfaces. These proof coins were not meant for spending, and when preserved properly, they stand out as premium collectibles. The real excitement, however, comes from mint errors and unusual varieties. Some 1991 quarters were struck with doubled dies, creating noticeable doubling in letters or numbers. Others show off-center strikes, where the design is pushed toward one side, leaving blank metal on the edge. These errors happen during the minting process and cannot be recreated, making each example unique. Collectors also look for die cracks and die breaks, which appear as raised lines or unusual shapes across the surface. Weak strikes, clipped planchets, and misaligned designs add even more intrigue. While most errors are minor, dramatic and well-preserved examples can become highly desirable, especially when certified by a professional grading service. Condition remains the key factor. A brilliant, uncirculated 1991 quarter with full luster and sharp details can attract strong demand. Coins like these are often pulled from old rolls, forgotten collections, or original mint sets. To collectors, finding one feels like uncovering a small piece of hidden history. The 1991 quarter also holds nostalgic value. It represents the final decade before the major design changes of the modern era, making it a favorite for collectors who appreciate traditional U.S. coinage. This emotional connection adds to its appeal and keeps interest alive year after year. Now let's talk about real market value and auction prices. A circulated 1991 quarter is usually worth around face value, about 25 cents. Uncirculated examples commonly sell for a few dollars, depending on condition. Proof versions often trade for 10 to several tens of dollars. High-grade certified coins and strong mint error examples have reached hundreds to over $1,000 at auction. Top 5. We explore one of the most important transition coins in American history, the 1965 United States quarter dollar. This coin may look simple, but behind its familiar design is a powerful story of change, rarity, and collector excitement. If you are a true coin lover, listen very carefully, because this quarter represents a turning point that forever changed U.S. money. The 1965 quarter features George Washington on the front and the majestic eagle on the back, a design Americans had trusted for decades. But this year marked a historic shift. Due to rising silver prices and nationwide hoarding, the United States Mint removed silver from quarters for the first time since the series began. The 1965 quarter became the first copper-nickel-clad Washington quarter, making it a symbol of a new era. Another unusual detail is the absence of a mint mark. During this time, mint marks were intentionally removed to discourage collectors and investors from hoarding coins. This decision created a unique group of quarters that stand apart from both earlier silver issues and later clad coins. While millions of 1965 quarters were produced, collectors know that not all examples are equal. What truly drives interest is condition and minting errors. Most of these coins entered heavy circulation immediately, meaning truly sharp, uncirculated pieces are harder to find than expected. Coins with full detail, strong luster, and clean surfaces attract serious attention. Now let's talk about the errors that excite collectors. Some 1965 quarters show doubled die characteristics, where parts of the date or lettering appear doubled due to die misalignment. Others were struck off-center, creating dramatic visual appeal. There are also examples with die cracks, raised lines caused by damaged dies, and clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin is missing due to a cutting error before striking point. One of the most talked about varieties is the extremely rare case where a 1965 quarter was accidentally struck on a silver planchet instead of the new clad metal. These transitional errors are among the most desirable modern U.S. coins and are fiercely pursued by advanced collectors. Even a single confirmed example can cause excitement throughout the numismatic world. Condition plays a massive role in value. A heavily worn 1965 quarter may look ordinary, but a coin preserved in near-perfect condition tells a very different story. High-grade certified examples are often discovered in old rolls, forgotten collections, or original mint packaging. For collectors, finding one feels like uncovering a piece of American history frozen in time. This quarter is more than just money. It represents economic pressure, government decisions, and the moment silver disappeared from everyday American change. That historical weight is exactly why collectors continue to study, search for, and cherish the 1965 quarter. Now let's talk about real market value and auction results. A circulated 1965 quarter is generally worth about face value, around 25 cents. Uncirculated examples typically sell for several dollars, depending on condition. High-grade certified coins can reach tens to over $100. Strong mint error coins and rare transitional silver strikes have sold for hundreds to several thousands of dollars at auction. Top 6. We take a deep and careful look at a coin many people have spent without a second thought, the 1990 United States quarter dollar. This quarter may seem ordinary, but for collectors, it holds hidden surprises, rare conditions, and exciting errors that can transform simple change into something far more valuable. If you love coins, listen closely and enjoy every detail of this story. The 1990 quarter belongs to the classic Washington quarter series, featuring George Washington on the front and the powerful eagle on the back. By 1990, this design had already been part of American life for generations. These quarters were produced in large numbers and circulated heavily, making them a familiar sight in cash registers, wallets, and coin jars across the country. Most 1990 quarters came from two mints. Coins from Philadelphia were struck without a mint mark, while Denver issues carry a small D. There were also proof coins specially produced for collectors, featuring sharp strikes and reflective surfaces. While many of these coins are common, collectors know that rarity often hides in details most people overlook. One of the biggest factors that increases value is condition. Because these quarters were widely used, finding examples with full luster, sharp hair details, and clean surfaces is far more difficult than expected. High-grade uncirculated coins stand out immediately to collectors and are often pulled from old mint sets or long-forgotten rolls. Now let's talk about what really excites coin lovers: mint errors. Some 1990 quarters were struck with doubled dies, causing letters or numbers to appear slightly doubled. Others were struck off-center, leaving part of the coin blank and creating dramatic visual appeal. These mistakes happen during the minting process and can never be repeated, making each error coin unique. Collectors also search for die cracks and die breaks, which appear as raised lines or unusual shapes on the surface. Weak strikes, where details look soft or incomplete, add another layer of interest. In rare cases, clipped planchets occur, where a section of the coin is missing due to an error before striking. The stronger and more visible the error, the more desirable the coin becomes. Proof versions of the 1990 quarter are another favorite among collectors. These coins were struck with extra care and were never intended for circulation. When preserved in perfect condition, proof quarters showcase deep mirror-like fields and sharp details that elevate them far above regular circulation strikes. What makes the 1990 quarter especially appealing is its place in history. It represents the final decade before major design changes reshaped American coinage. For many collectors, this quarter carries nostalgia and tradition, which adds emotional value alongside monetary worth. Collectors today carefully inspect rolls, old collections, and inherited coin sets, searching for standout examples. A single discovery, whether it's a high-grade coin or a dramatic mint error, can instantly turn an ordinary quarter into a prized collectible. Now let's talk about real market value and auction results. A circulated 1990 quarter is typically worth about face value, roughly 25 cents. Uncirculated examples often sell for a few dollars, depending on overall quality. Proof versions usually trade for 10 to several tens of dollars. High-grade certified coins and clearly visible mint error examples have sold for hundreds to over $1,000 at auction. Top 7. We're traveling back to a fascinating year in American coin history to explore the 1968 United States quarter dollar. This coin may look familiar, but behind its simple design lies a story of transition, scarcity in top condition, and hidden errors that collectors find truly exciting. If you are a coin lover, listen very carefully and enjoy every detail, because this quarter deserves attention. The 1968 quarter features the classic image of George Washington on the front and the strong eagle design on the back. By this time, silver had already been removed from circulating quarters, and the nation was adjusting to copper-nickel-clad coinage. This change makes the 1968 quarter part of a crucial period when American money was redefining itself. One important detail collectors always notice is the return of mint marks. After being removed for several years, mint marks came back in 1968. Coins were produced in Philadelphia with no mint mark, in Denver with AD, and in San Francisco, which focused mainly on proof coins for collectors. This variety adds depth and interest to the series. Although millions of these quarters were struck, most entered circulation immediately and were used heavily. Because of that, truly sharp and well-preserved examples are far less common than people expect. Coins with strong luster, clean surfaces, and crisp details stand out instantly to experienced collectors. Now let's talk about what really makes the 1968 quarter exciting: mint errors and rare varieties. Some coins show double die features, where parts of the lettering or date appear doubled due to misaligned dies. Others were struck off-center, creating dramatic visual appeal with missing portions of the design. These errors are accidental and cannot be repeated, making each one unique. Collectors also search for die cracks and die breaks, which appear as raised lines or unusual shapes across the coin's surface. Weak strikes, clipped planchets, and misaligned designs add even more intrigue. Proof coins from San Francisco sometimes display cameo contrast, where the design appears frosted against mirror-like fields, increasing their desirability when preserved properly. Condition is everything. A worn 1968 quarter tells the story of everyday use, but a high-grade example tells a different story, one of careful preservation and rarity. Many top-quality coins come from original proof sets or long-stored collections, and when certified, they can attract serious attention in the collector market. The 1968 quarter also holds emotional value for collectors. It represents a time of change, modernization, and adjustment in American coinage. That historical context keeps interest strong and demand steady, even decades later. Now let's talk about real market value and auction prices. A circulated 1968 quarter is generally worth about face value, around 25 cents. Uncirculated examples often sell for several dollars, depending on condition and eye appeal. Proof coins commonly trade for 10 to several tens of dollars. High-grade certified coins and strong mint error examples have achieved hundreds to several thousands of dollars at auction. Top 8. We take a closer look at a coin many people remember using every day but rarely stop to admire: the 1989 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, it feels ordinary, just another Washington quarter from the late 20th century. But for collectors, this coin holds quiet excitement, hidden rarity in top condition, and minting errors that can turn simple change into a valuable collectible. The 1989 quarter features the classic portrait of George Washington on the front, strong and familiar, while the reverse displays the proud eagle with spread wings. This design had already become a symbol of stability in American coinage. These quarters were struck during a time when cash transactions were still dominant, meaning most of them were heavily circulated and rarely saved. Coins from this year were produced at multiple mints. Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, Denver coins show a small d, and San Francisco produced proof coins specially made for collectors. While millions were struck, collectors understand that true scarcity often comes not from low mintage, but from survival in exceptional condition. Most 1989 quarters spent decades in pockets, vending machines, and cash drawers. As a result, finding an example with full mint luster, sharp hair detail on Washington, and strong feather detail on the eagle is far more difficult than many expect. High-grade coins stand out immediately and are highly sought after when professionally graded. Now let's talk about what really makes collectors lean in: mint errors and unusual varieties. Some 1989 quarters display double die characteristics, where parts of the lettering or date appear double due to misalignment during the die creation process. Others were struck off-center, producing dramatic visual effects where part of the design is missing or shifted. Collectors also look for die cracks and die breaks, which appear as raised lines or unusual shapes on the surface of the coin. Weak strikes, misaligned designs, and clipped planchets add further intrigue. These errors are accidental, impossible to reproduce, and each one tells a unique story of what happened inside the mint on a specific day. Proof versions of the 1989 quarter are another favorite among collectors. These coins were struck with extra care, featuring mirror-like fields and sharp details. When preserved without scratches or haze, proof coins offer stunning visual appeal and increased desirability. The 1989 quarter also carries a sense of nostalgia. It represents the final years before major design changes transformed American quarters forever. For many collectors, that connection to a familiar era adds emotional value, making this coin more than just metal. It becomes a memory. Collectors today carefully search old mint sets, inherited collections, and unopened rolls, knowing that one exceptional find can stand far above the rest. A single high-grade or error coin can instantly change how this date is viewed. Now let's talk about real market value and auction results. That a circulated 1989 quarter is generally worth about face value, around 25 cents. Uncirculated examples commonly sell for a few dollars, depending on quality. Proof coins often trade for 10 to several tens of dollars. High-grade certified coins and well-defined mint error examples have sold for hundreds to over $1,000 at auction. Top 9. We are uncovering the story behind a coin many people remember from everyday life, yet few truly understand: the 1978 United States quarter dollar. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, but for collectors, it holds quiet rarity, hidden details, and exciting possibilities that can turn simple change into something special. If you love coins, listen carefully and enjoy this journey. The 1978 quarter is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, featuring George Washington's familiar portrait on the front and the strong eagle design on the back. By the late 1970s, this design had become deeply woven into American culture. These quarters were produced during a time of economic change, inflation, and heavy coin usage, which plays a major role in their collector value today. Coins from this year were struck at two main mints. Philadelphia coins were issued without a mint mark, while Denver coins carry a small D below the date. There were also proof versions struck with special care for collectors, featuring sharper details and reflective surfaces. While millions of 1978 quarters were made, most entered circulation immediately and were used heavily for decades. This is where collectors become interested. Because so many of these quarters were used, finding one in high-grade condition is far more difficult than people expect. Coins that still show strong mint luster, sharp hair details on Washington, and bold feather details on the eagle stand out instantly. These well-preserved examples are the ones collectors compete for. Now let's talk about what really excites coin lovers: mint errors and rare varieties. Some 1978 quarters were struck with double dies, causing noticeable doubling in the lettering, date, or motto. Others were struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing and creating dramatic visual appeal. These mistakes happen during the minting process and cannot be repeated, making each error coin unique. Collectors also search carefully for die cracks and die breaks, which appear as raised lines or unusual shapes across the coin's surface. Weak strikes, misaligned designs, and clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing, add even more interest. The stronger and clearer the error, the more desirable the coin becomes to serious collectors. Proof versions of the 1978 quarter deserve special attention as well. These coins were not meant for circulation and were struck multiple times to achieve crisp detail. When preserved properly, proof quarters can show beautiful mirror-like fields and frosted designs, making them especially attractive in collections. The 1978 quarter also represents a familiar era before modern coin designs transformed U.S. currency. That sense of nostalgia adds emotional value, which is something collectors deeply appreciate. This combination of history, condition rarity, and minting errors keeps demand steady year after year. Collectors today examine old rolls, inherited collections, and original proof sets, knowing that one exceptional coin can rise far above the rest. A single discovery can turn an overlooked quarter into a prized collectible. Now let's talk about real market value and auction results. That a circulated 1978 quarter is typically worth about face value, roughly 25 cents. Uncirculated examples often sell for a few dollars, depending on condition and eye appeal. Proof versions commonly trade for 10 to several tens of dollars. High-grade certified coins and clearly visible mint error examples have sold for hundreds to over $1,000 at auction. Top 10, and last rare coin. We're diving into a coin that millions of Americans have used but few truly appreciate, the 1984 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, it may look like an everyday piece of change, but for collectors, it holds layers of interest, rare varieties, and potential value that can turn ordinary quarters into sought-after treasures. If you love coins, listen carefully because this story is for you. The 1984 quarter belongs to the classic Washington quarter series, featuring George Washington's dignified portrait on the obverse and the eagle with spread wings on the reverse. By this time, this design had become an integral part of American culture. Circulation was widespread, meaning most coins passed through countless hands, yet collectors know that the true value often lies hidden in condition, minting errors, and unusual varieties. Coins from this year were produced at multiple mints. Philadelphia quarters carry no mint mark, while Denver coins display a small d. Additionally, San Francisco struck proof coins intended specifically for collectors, featuring mirrored backgrounds and crisp designs. While millions of these quarters were minted, most were used immediately in everyday transactions, making high-grade, uncirculated examples much rarer than many would assume. Condition plays a massive role in collector value. A worn 1984 quarter may seem ordinary, but a coin with sharp hair detail on Washington, well-defined eagle feathers, and full mint luster is a gem. Such coins are often pulled from old rolls, original mint sets, or long-forgotten collections, instantly capturing attention among enthusiasts. What makes this coin especially exciting are mint errors and varieties. Some 1984 quarters were struck with doubled dies, creating visible doubling in letters or numbers. Others were struck slightly off-center, producing dramatic gaps where part of the design is missing. Collectors also search for die cracks, raised lines that appear when the die itself is damaged, and clipped planchets, where a section of the coin is missing due to a cutting error before striking. Each error is unique and impossible to recreate, which makes them particularly valuable. Proof versions of the 1984 quarter deserve a special mention. These coins were struck with extra care, often multiple times, to ensure sharpness and clarity. When preserved perfectly, proof coins display reflective mirror-like surfaces and frosted design elements, making them highly desirable for both new and seasoned collectors. Another aspect that adds interest is the coin's historical context. The 1984 quarter represents a familiar era, right before the state quarter program revolutionized U.S. coinage. For collectors, this adds a sense of nostalgia, combining history with the thrill of discovery. Finding an uncirculated or error example from this year feels like holding a small piece of the past. Collectors today search through old rolls, estate collections, and original proof sets, hoping to uncover coins that stand out. Even minor differences in strike quality or unexpected mint errors can dramatically increase a coin's appeal and value. Now let's talk about real market value and auction prices. A circulated 1984 quarter is usually worth about face value, roughly 25 cents. Uncirculated examples typically sell for a few dollars, depending on condition. Proof versions often trade for 10 to several tens of dollars. High-grade certified coins and well-documented mint error examples have been sold for hundreds to over $1,000 at auction.so. Next time you come across a 1984 quarter, don't dismiss it. Look closely. History, rarity, and potential value often hide in the coins that most people overlook, making them treasures for collectors who know where to look.